Joining us now is the writer Will Self. I'd like to talk about the drugs aspect of this. Were you surprised?
I knew nothing about Philip Seymour Hoffman's involvement with drugs at all. I mean, surely one of the reasons why we've all cleaved to him so strongly is he was somebody who managed to keep his private life largely out of the public eye, which is an achievement in this day and age.
Do you understand the involvement with drugs?
Well, addiction's no respecter of persons. You know, there's hardly anywhere you can point a finger high or low in society and not hit somebody who's got addiction issues. Heroin is a drug that we associate most strongly with addiction, but people can be addicted to all sorts of things. I think the fact that heroin was involved in his death is what people find very shocking, largely because of the image that heroin has in our culture. And I think that that's shocking. The old sawhorse of whether, you know, he was such an amazing actor in some way was connected, his creativity was connected with his drug use, or the pressures of his life led to his drug use. I dare say that's in the mix, but you know, you can go to any kind of poor or deprived part of our country and shake a stick. Throw a stick and you'll hit somebody who's probably got a heroin habit. I think we have the highest per capita level of registered heroin addicts in Europe.
It's interesting, it's often represented as a sort of loser's drug, which is the environment you're talking about there. By no stretch of the imagination was this man a loser.
No, and as I say, you will find heroin addicts in every walk of life. But I think that in America in particular, there's a very strange culture. There is a strange one here as well, but a strange culture surrounding opiate drugs, which is the broader family of drugs of which heroin is one.
What's heroin like?
You're asking me personally on the basis of... I think that for people that don't have, you know, who don't have a kind of reason to be anaesthetized, it probably is experienced as yes, euphoric, as yes, a kind of drug that they wouldn't mind taking, but they wouldn't necessarily feel a pull towards taking it again. It's one of the paradoxes. I mean, one of the strange things is that most of the people watching us now at some time or other will take medical diamorphine, which is heroin. And if they're in pain, they'll experience simply the removal of the pain.
But it's not instantly addictive then?
No, it takes a fairly concerted effort to get addicted to opiate drugs. And so you can say that people who do become addicted, maybe they've got a predisposition to it, but they have to make some decisions. They have to kind of decide to take it. But I think at some point, and presumably this had happened to Hoffman, and from the bare bones account we have of his history of drug use, it probably happened to him shortly after he left acting school, because he went to rehab after that, and you don't really go to drug rehab without a drug problem.
Sure. But
the points get switched. You've made so many decisions to take the drug that the taking of it becomes compulsive at some level.
But then, I mean, apparently he spent 20 years clean.
Yes, that may well be true. Of course, we don't know whether he had other addictive behaviours that, so to speak, kept the addiction dormant. I think the way that the story is being reported suggests this idea that addiction's like a kind of ugly spirit that was kind of cowed and pushed into the background and then it kind of reared up in that way. I'm not sure that's a very useful, it seems a rather medieval perception of it, but we don't know is the truth of the matter, what led to him being in that situation. Again, very sadly, but this is only supposition, often people who return to using heroin after a long period of abstinence, they can't judge the dose. You know, so this happens quite frequently.
And there's something about injecting too, isn't there?
I think that's right, and I think that's the combination of Hoffman's brilliance as an actor and the very, very kind of, you know, and it is pushed as a kind of gory detail, it's a lurid detail, it's a bit of sensationalism that injecting was involved is very shocking. And I think that's because, again, most of us will be injected with heroin at some point in our lives, usually just before we die. And you know, anybody who's been in hospital and had pain relief has been being injected with heroin often, or certainly with morphine.
But doing it yourself is different.
That's the point. And I think that going right back to the kind of, I mean, heroin was originally synthesized in St Mary's Hospital in Paddington, very near to where we are now. So it was synthesized as a medical thing. And the thing about addiction, opiate addiction, has always been that it appropriates what should rightfully be a medical role. The individual, and I don't mean to be trite about this, I think it's quite serious. Addiction comes about at the same time as the full professionalization of medicine and the elevation of medicine to our kind of modern priesthood, our kind of spiritual priesthood. So the idea that somebody should appropriate this thing that only doctors are meant to do and do it to themselves is very, very shocking.
Will, thank you.
Thank you.